Hey guys, welcome into my infrared sauna. I've just been running and then I've jumped into the sauna to do my journaling. This is where I do my journaling. Now normally you don't see me turning up like this. This is my business page. You might expect me to turn up and look in a certain way, but I don't abide by the expectations and rules of society, right? There is a reason for it. Now, the reason that I'm not doing this in my free group, Becoming Magnetic to Your Soulmate Clients, is I think that a lot of people need to hear this, right? Men and women, we all need to hear this because we're all bound by society's expectations, right? This isn't a rant on why men are so bad. This is a rant on why women are taught to toe the line, but men are too, right? This just doesn't happen to be about men. This happens to be about me because I'm a woman. So what got me thinking, right, I went to this amazing event last night where women were encouraged to tell their real stories, and we got asked a question, do you tell the truth to your clients? And everyone, of course, is yes. Well, most people are yes, right? And then the question was, are you also telling that truth to, to everyone, to complete strangers? And of course, most people said no, right? Of course, I said yes, because I really am committed to telling the truth, because when we tell the truth, when we tell those stories, we enable other people to tell their stories and to get out of their own, to get out of their own way, to stop the bullshit that holds them back. Now, I am a passionate rule breaker and treader over of society's expectations, right? Because they really hold us back. And while I was running on my treadmill this morning, a story popped up for me to review. I don't mean on Facebook, I mean in my head, right? Clearly I'm not on Facebook running on the treadmill. And it was at my wedding, right? So all my life I've been told by males to toe the line. I've been told by society to be normal. I've been told, especially by women. Some women are really fucking triggered by me being myself, right? And being exactly the way I want to be and not being demure and not, serving my husband. Like, I've literally had people tell me that I'm a shit wife. Pretty fucking funny. But this story is a little bit tamer, right? So that maybe you can connect to it a little bit more, because most of you probably haven't had someone tell you that you're a shit wife. Maybe you have. I'd love to fucking hear if you have. Really, I would. I might write a book on it. The story that popped up for me was of my wedding day. Right, so I walked down the aisle, boiling hot day. I was completely sweating, and of course I just tell the truth, right? I have no filter. I think it's my gift and my curse, as all strengths turn into weaknesses, right? Or actually, no, fuck that. It's not a weakness. I cannot help but tell the truth, and I cannot help but talk about what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking, because to me, nothing is out of bounds, right? Like, it's perfectly fine to talk about what you're feeling and to, to say whatever you want. You don't have to be expected to be a certain way, but a bride is expected to be a certain way, right? And remind me to talk about my haircut and my hairstyle for a minute. But I walked down the aisle boiling hot, right? And I said to someone, oh my God, afterwards, kissing everyone. And I was like, oh my God, it's so hot underneath this dress. God, like sweat dripping everywhere. And they're like, that's disgusting. Brides don't talk like that. And I was like, okay, cool. Why don't you shame me on my wedding day and make me feel like a C word? Now, this particular woman enjoyed shaming me, and she went on to do it for years and years and years afterwards. Why was she at the wedding? Because I didn't know how to stick up for myself then, right? She came back into my life a little while afterwards, and still the same thing, right? Still like expecting people to behave in certain ways with decorum and, and looking a certain way and not saying what you think because you don't want to upset people's feelings. But I'm just not available for that, right? Because when you do that, right, you're killing a certain part of your soul, and you can't bring forth your purpose work and stand in your utter truth when you're trying to dumb everything else down, right? Being all of you is all that really matters. Of course, be kind, right? But kindness doesn't mean that you need to be taken advantage of. Stating your boundaries clearly doesn't mean that you're being unkind, right? But men and some women love to tell you that you're being rude or that you're being unkind when you state your boundaries firmly, right? You're not. There is nothing wrong with having boundaries. Anyway, I went on to have wedding photos and had my garter very high up my leg and exposed it for photos, and everyone's like, oh my goodness, brides don't do that. And I was like, that's exactly why I did it, right? Because you can be all things. You can be sexy and a bride. You can be spiritual woo-woo and a kick-ass business CEO boss bitch, right? You can be whatever you want to be. You can be a loving mum and a hot wife. Like, you can be all things at all times. You don't have to choose. just being you, whoever it is in that moment. It can change from one moment to the next. It does, right? Who's with me? Like, do your moods change from one moment to the next? And then do you fight over, oh, but I should be feeling this? Don't fight those feelings, right? That's what leads to not living in joy. That's what happens to squashing our businesses and not actually doing what we want to do. Because when you actually bring out what you want to do, that's where all the joy is. That's where all the money is. That's where all the soulmate clients are. Being yourself is honestly, truly exactly where it's at. Now, I was going to talk about my haircut for a little while. I don't really have normal haircuts. I suppose my haircut these days is pretty normal, but I like it this way now. I always had very, very short pixie hair. And my dad was fond of telling me that I looked like a lesbian. And in fact, so were a lot of men. Were quite confronted by it, right? Who says what a lesbian's haircut looks like? Like, why are we having a say on what other women's haircuts are like? Why are we having a say on what lesbians' haircuts are like? Like, you know, who cares? And I remember distinctly in my terrible job, when I went to manage a college that was just hideous, the worst experience of my life, of course, the most growth as well. And I had very, very short hair when I was originally there, and then when I went back to manage it, one of the women who pretended she was very nice but clearly wasn't, she came into the waiting room for some reason. I come out of my office for some reason, and she looked at me, she laughed in my face, and she went, ah ha ha, I see you don't look like a lesbian anymore. Who the fuck says that to someone? Like, what on earth makes people think that's okay? They all thought it was okay because they all banded together, right, and made me bad for being who I was. And I've experienced many of those lessons, right, for being who I am, and now I just refuse to do it. And that's why I encourage women to just go all out there, to just be them, right? Honestly, when I cared about what they thought, when I tried to tone it down, that's when I was fucking miserable. But out the other side, where I just don't care, so much happier, right? Business flows so much better. I probably make 10 times more than I did when I was managing that college. Yeah. So today I encourage you to go all out there, be yourself, and do a live in your sauna, in your gym clothes, right? Who says you have to do business in a certain way? Be you, and remember, together we shall rise.